It is still very difficult because we are under full occupation, both in the West Bank, including East Jerusalem and Gaza Strip. And our rights is confiscated by the Israeli occupation. And the Israelis, they are putting in new conditions. Every time they are putting in new conditions. So unfortunately, we couldn't reach any agreement till now. You know that we have Arab Peace Initiative, and the Arab Peace Initiative were adopted by the Arab League, and then by the Islamic Conference, and then by the United Nations. So unfortunately, the response of the Israeli government were negative. For us, we need to see an end for the Israeli occupation, because peace cannot be achieved with the continuance of occupation. It's the last occupation in the recent history. Our people need to be free, deserve to be free, and we want to be free, and determined to be free, based on the international law and the UN resolutions. Because under international law, occupation is prohibited, especially like this kind of occupation, which means a type of apartheid in the occupied Palestinian territories, including East Jerusalem. It's not easy to imagine what is happening there, except if you live there, if you suffer as the Palestinian people suffer. Imagine that there is highways in Palestine. It's only for the Israelis, and highways for the Palestinians. There is a law for the Israelis. There is another law for the Palestinians. There is a discrimination, there is an apartheid, and this must have an end. And I want to say that our territory is not disputed territory, it's an occupied territory. And there is a big difference between this. There is no case in the history of the United Nations have resolutions more than the Palestinian cause. We need to see a respect and implement for the UN resolutions and the international law. Unfortunately, the Israelis, they never respect or implement any of the UN resolutions. Never. So we need the international community to support us for the making pressure on the Israelis to respect and implement the UN resolutions and the international law. No, I think that one of the consequences, one of the consequences of the Israeli occupation is the Arab Spring. We receive support from all Arab countries. Now, these countries, they have their own priorities too. But still, the Palestinian cause, it's a priority for all Arab countries, as well as for the whole world, hoping that this will be implemented in action. Because the Jewish people, they were suffered an end for the Israeli occupation, as they did in the past when they put an end for the apartheid regime in South Africa. No, Hamas also, it's a consequence of the conflict. Hamas, it's a new political party. It's not an old political party. When we began our revolution against the occupation, Hamas were not there. Hamas were founded in late 87. Late 87. And the policy of the Israeli occupation give Hamas more power, because we, the Palestinian Authority, we promise our people to bring them to peace and stability and independence. And we fail, unfortunately, not because we don't want, because the Israeli occupation never respect or implement any agreement done with Israel. So Hamas, they said to the Palestinian people, you give the PLO a chance, and they fail. Give us a chance. We promise to bring you independence and liberty. So the one who is responsible of the power of Hamas is the Israeli occupation. Now Hamas, they are part of our people. We don't agree with them. We have a plural system in Palestine. We have from the last point in the left to the last point in the right and in between. So Hamas part of our people. But we have institutions, and we were able to sign an agreement with Hamas in accord calling Doha Accord and Cairo Accord. Hamas accepted a state of Palestine on the borders of June 4, 1967, with Jerusalem Oriental as capital. And Hamas accepted also that resisting the Israeli occupation in a peaceful, popular way. For us, this is what we are looking for, this is what we want. Now, after what happened in Egypt, I think there is a time for reconciliation, real reconciliation inside the Palestinian society. So hoping that this page of Golpe in the Palestinian side will have an end, hoping so. I'm sure that peace will come. Otherwise, why we are resisting the occupation, why we have our determination for our liberty. There is no occupation in history live forever. In Palestine, we have in our history 14 invasions for Palestine. And all invasions left and Palestine still there. And the Israeli invasion, it's one and it's not an exception. It's more difficult, but it's not an exception. We are confident that peace will prevail in the land of peace, the land of Jesus Christ, the Holy Land, Palestine. It did not affect negatively our relations because we received a strong support from the international community. We were recognized as a state from more than 140 countries in the United Nations in November 2012. And did not affect negatively our relations with the whole world. In the contrary, we received more support than the Israelis, because the whole world know that we are under occupation and that we deserve to be free and to be independent. Hoping that this conflict will have an end so we can open a new chapter in the relation, our region, and that Israel will become part of our region if they respect the rights of the other side, which is the Palestinian people. And if they finish their occupation for Palestine, because we need to be equal and we need to restore relations with the Israelis and to build relations with the Israelis based on equality and to be good neighbors when there is no occupation. Right now, we cannot be equal because they are the occupied power and we are the people under occupation, and there is a big difference. Once the Israeli ambassador were telling me that here we are equal. I told them, yes, here we are equal in Spain. But when we come back there, we are not equal. You belong to the occupied power and I belong to the people under occupation. A big, big difference between the two situations in Israel and in Palestine. We are grateful for the noble support that we receive from the people of Spain and the government of Spain and the King of Spain. Supporting Palestine in Spain, it's not a government policy, it is a state policy. Whoever in power in Spain, they support Palestine. When PSOE were in power, they support Palestine. When PP were in power, they support Palestine. And we are grateful for this, that we receive a strong support. Although sometimes in the media they don't know what is happening exactly there, because the Israeli occupation, sometimes they close area and they said that it is for security. They close it. So they do whatever they want without the presence of the media. And the Israelis, they have their media, and they have influence in the media internationally. So sometimes they give false informations about the situation. But we believe that no one can hide the whole truth forever. So there is strong support coming from the international community through volunteers of solidarity with Palestine, coming from all over the world, including Spain. And those people, they register and they have photos, everything about what is happening there in Palestine. And also there is an Israeli organization whom they are working with us for peace, and also they used to give cameras for the people to register what the accident happened by the Israeli occupation. We are grateful for this, and we are grateful for the friends from Israel whom they are working against the wrong policy of their government, which mainly the occupation. They want to see an end for occupation, and they want to Israel to be part of the Middle East, which they are not till now, because they don't have relations with most of the countries in the Middle East, because they are still an occupied power, occupying the whole of Palestine, occupying Golan Heights from Syria, and part of the South Lebanon. We hope that what the international community and the civil society in the whole world will improve more their support for Palestine, because in democratic countries, the civil society have a very, very important role. So we appreciate what we receive from the civil society, and we are looking for more and more practical support. Like, for example, boycotting the settlement project, which is illegal. The settlements, all settlements in the occupied territories, it's illegal, and their products, it's illegal. They are trying to benefit the agreement signed between Israel and European countries, for example, and Europe, they adopt a decision called guidelines, were approved and were in January this year, saying that Israel must put labels on the products of the settlements. So the citizens, they can choose if they want to buy this illegal products or not. And also they boycott the companies and the banks whom they are working in the settlements, which is very, very important for the first time, and hoping that this policy will give a fruits for bringing peace and justice to the Middle East, where the Israelis, they feel that there is a price for their continuous occupation. The citizens of Israel, in this case, when they feel that there is a price through the boycott from the international community, they make a pressure on their government to respect and implement the international law and the UN resolutions, and to have an agreement with the Palestinians, and so the Palestinians can have their own independent state on the borders of June 4, 1967, and with a solution for the final status issues, including the refugees whom we have in the Arab Peace Initiative a solution agreed upon based on Resolution 194. regarding the refugees. So civil society is very important, and we keep strong relations and strong cooperation with the civil society all over the world, hoping that their work with their governments will give positive results regarding a pressure on Israel to finish their brutal occupation for Palestine. Palestine must be free, deserve to be free, and we determine that Palestine will be free. No, we don't have, because they are an occupied power and we are people under occupation. We don't have. This means that we meet, for example, in a reception. They were invited, we were invited in a reception for example, for any country. And when His Majesty the King received us on the 5th of February in Oriental Palace here, I was standing and the ambassador of Israel was standing behind me, so there is no problem. But he is representing the policy of the Israeli occupation. I am representing the policy of the people, Palestinian people under occupation, resisting this occupation peacefully and in a popular way. There is no political contact between us and them. Even negotiations, it's not there. Only through the Americans, only through the Americans. But because the Israelis, they brought two new conditions. They brought asking us to recognize them as a Jewish state, and also they want us to accept their military presence in the Jordan Valley for a long time. It never be part of the final status issues in the past, and they put it as a condition. For us, we cannot accept both because we already recognized Israel in 1993 through a recognition exchanged between President Arafat and President Rabin in that time, Prime Minister Rabin. So we recognize, as Spain recognized, as the United States recognized, as the whole world recognized, why they are asking only the Palestinians to recognize them as a Jewish state. They did not ask the Egyptians, they did not ask the Jordanians when they signed an agreement with them. Only they are asking the Palestinians. We know their purpose and we will not accept this because we already recognize them and we are waiting them to recognize us. For the international community, Jerusalem is so important, for example. And also the borders, the settlements. Why the negotiations not giving fruits till now? Because the Israelis continue their settlement activities, which is illegal. Building a wall in the heart of the Palestinian territory, it's illegal also. So for us, they said that Jerusalem is their capital forever. And they annexed Jerusalem, East Jerusalem, to Israel illegally, and the international community, they did not accept this, so you will not find any embassy in Jerusalem, any embassy at all. All embassies, they are in Tel Aviv, because they did not recognize Jerusalem as part of Israel. East Jerusalem is part of Palestine. It was occupied in 1967. For us, we accept Jerusalem that it can be capital for two states. East Jerusalem capital for Palestine and West Jerusalem capital for Israel. And it can be an open for all faiths, all believers. So although all holy places for Christianity, for Judaism, for Islam, it's in our part. So we can guarantee that all believers can reach their holy places without any restrictions from our side. And for us, all believers, they don't need a visa to go to Jerusalem to enjoy visiting the holy places from Judaism, Christianism or Islam. They are most welcome to come and to enjoy visiting. For settlements, it's illegal, all settlements. You know that we accept to have a state on 22% of historic Palestine, means West Bank, including East Jerusalem and Gaza Strip, 22% only. This means around 6,000 square kilometers. And the Israelis, we recognize them on 78% of historic Palestine. Why they are coming to build in our territory, in the 6,000? They can build in the 21,000 square kilometers if they are looking for peace. But they want to dictate on the Palestinians and to change on ground to effect any solution in the future, and to legalize the illegal things. It is illegal. Building settlements in the Palestinian territory, it's illegal. And according to the 4 Geneva Convention, it's a war crime. So the Israelis, they must realize that we will not accept the settlements in our territory. And we will not accept an Israeli presence in the Jordan Valley as they want, because always they talk about security. Security is not an Israeli need only. It's a Palestinian need too. And we accept that Palestine will be demilitarized, without weapons. Palestine will be a state like Costa Rica, without weapons. Okay? We accept this. But we will not accept the presence of one Israeli soldier in Palestine, in the state of Palestine. Because for us, it means that the occupation is still there. But we offer that we can accept a third party to be there in the Jordan Valley. It can be NATO, it can be European Union, it can be United States, it can be Russia, it can be United Nations. Any part of those the Israelis want can be there. And he can guarantee the security for both. Israel, they have number 5 military power in the whole world, number 5, and they have nuclear weapons. So who needs security more? We don't have military, and we don't have nuclear weapons. We don't want nuclear weapons, or they whom they have all these kind of weapons. So it is a provocation from the Israeli side. They want to keep their presence by a Palestinian signature. They will never got it. They will never got it, because we need free Palestine. We need Palestine free, and we accept the presence. The Americans, they are their friends. So it can be American military forces in the Jordan Valley. We accept this. Or United Nations, or European Union, or NATO, or Russia, because I'm talking about those because they belong to the quartet whom they issued the roadmap, or Hadiruta. In the roadmap, the Israelis, there is obligations for the Israelis and obligations for the Palestinians. We implement all obligations for our side, although we are under occupation, and the Israelis, they implement nothing from theirs. The first obligation for the Israelis, done by the quartet, the international community, is to freeze settlement activities in all occupied territories, including East Jerusalem, including the natural growth. And I can tell you, since the adopting of the roadmap till now, the settlements were decreased more than double. So we agreed also in the roadmap, we agreed to reopen Palestinian offices in East Jerusalem. One of that offices, it's the headquarters of the Palestinians, called Orient House. It's the headquarters of the Palestinian leadership in Jerusalem. And also another one, it is the Chamber of Commerce in Jerusalem. It was created before the State of Israel, before the creation of the State of Israel. What kind of a threat for the security of Israel having a chamber of commerce in Jerusalem. Only they don't want anything related to Palestine, anything. So for us, we need a partner. Unfortunately, this coalition in Israel, they are not partners for peace. They don't want peace. I can tell you that they have a coalition. The Bennett, who is heading the Jewish House Party, he's against the state of Palestine, publicly. Lieberman, also he's against. Most of the Likud party, the party of Netanyahu, is against the state of Palestine. So, and they are asking now, they are sending a message to Netanyahu, don't give the Palestinians 1 centimeter from the West Bank. So they are not looking for peace because we are not threatening them now. There's no price for their continuous occupation, and the international community, unfortunately, doing not enough to stop their occupation. International community, they can tell the Israelis, enough is enough. We want to see an end for your occupation, and we can guarantee your security and the security of the state of Palestine. So, because our region is very important for the stability of the whole world. There is an interest for Europe to have a state of Palestine and to have stability in the Middle East. So the Palestinians, they don't have military forces. They cannot threaten Israel. And we don't believe in violence. We don't believe in terrorism. We are victims of state terrorism done by the Israeli occupation. And we are against all kinds of terrorism. So we have hundreds of UN resolutions. There is no case in history of the United Nations have resolutions like our case. It needs to be implemented. And the human rights in Palestine in the occupied territories is confiscated by the Israeli occupation and violated by the Israeli occupation. And this is a principles, noble principles in Europe. Respecting the international law, the UN resolutions, and the human rights. When any country violating the international law, the human rights, Europe have a position against. We need to see a position against, not only in writing, we need an action. The Israelis, they must feel that their occupation have a price. And if they are ready to pay the price, so they must be boycotted, because the apartheid regime in South Africa will never be collapsed without the support and the solidarity of the international community.